Hey guys, this is Stephanie and I'm Stacks on Stacks on Stacks. Today I'm coming to you guys with my Monday reads, which if anybody's new, basically it's a catch up of what I was reading, what I am reading, and what I'm going to be reading. I try to get these out every 2 to 3 weeks to keep you guys kind of caught up on my reads and stuff like that. So basically it's like a wrap up and a TBR smashed into one. I'm lazy, what can I say? So it's been like 3 weeks since I've done my last Monday reads, but I had time to film this weekend despite the fact there were a bunch of people in my house. That's okay. I'm just gonna film my little video and pretend like I don't hear them upstairs. I have read 10 books in the last 3 weeks, which is kind of crazy because I feel like I've been busy and I haven't had time to read, yet clearly I have had time to read because I've read 10 books. Don't get too impressed, some of them are graphic novels. The first one I read was Solace by Gail Carringer. I gave this one a 3.8 personally and a 3.5 technically. I didn't give it a super high technical rating because I didn't love the writing. I didn't hate it, but it took me like 60% of the book to really get into it. And I'm not sure if it's because it's the first book and they're actually setting up like a whole series of books, but it took me some time to get into it. And I might have set it down a few times as well in the in-between because I was just like, you know, I'm not feeling this. However, I did end up liking it. Alexia really did grow on me. At first, I didn't really like her as a main character. I was like, you're kind of annoying and I can't tell if you're stupid or just ditzy. I think she's a little dippy. And I will say I enjoyed quite a few of the side characters as well, which kind of surprised me. And I did enjoy our male lead. He was very Jamie Fraser-esque to me, so I definitely enjoyed reading about him. And I did enjoy the end and how it all wrapped up anyway. However, I will say, though I know it's an adult book, I wasn't expecting the incredibly steamy makeout scenes. I was like, oh, I don't know what I was expecting, but I wasn't expecting that. It definitely took me by surprise. I will be more prepared for the next books. I will definitely be continuing this series as well. The next one I read is Where'd You Go, Bernadette, and this is by Maria Sempel. This is not a particularly new book. It's been out for a few years. It's been on my TBR for a few years, but I saw a preview for a movie and I was like, oh my goodness, I have to read this before the movie comes out. Well, no worries. The movie comes out in August. I thought it came out in April, so I hurried up and read it. And now I have to wait. I enjoyed this book. I give it a 4.5 personally and a 4.0 technically. I wasn't expecting to enjoy it this much. I actually thought about giving it a 5 stars, but it just wasn't quite 5 stars. But it was really close. It was super good. I think the fact that I didn't know much about it and it surprised me so much was one of the reasons I rated it so high. And it was funny. I like a book that makes me laugh. I really do. If you can make me laugh in a book, I'm gonna like it more than a book that's gonna make me cry. That's just me. The first thing I think I really enjoyed about this book is I knew my characters. Basically in this one, we are following quite a few perspectives because it's told in that different format. It has letters and emails and faxes and transcriptions and stuff like that is how they tell the story in the book. So it comes from a lot of different people's perspectives. And usually I feel like in books that are so multi-perspective, I feel like you lose some character. You don't get your characters fleshed out all that well. Usually because you have so many characters, you have a really hard time making each and every one of them individual. We know how they are. We know what makes them tick and all that kind of stuff. It's really hard to do in multi-perspective books. It's hard for some people to do when there's just one perspective. So having like 6, 8, I don't even know, I didn't count them all, is really, really great. Now, some of the things like we received like a captain's log from a ship or something like that. Obviously, the captain is not a character that needs to be fleshed out, but the details in that help flesh out the other characters in the book, if that makes sense. And I loved that. I love the fact that I knew my characters front and back, and I was enjoying my characters and I enjoyed the ride as well. So basically in this book, we are following a family. The mom's name is Bernadette. The dad's name is LG and the daughter's name is B. She is an only child and she was like a miracle child. She was really sick when she was born, but she pulled through it. And ever since that, Bernadette's been a little bit of a helicopter mom, just a little bit, not a huge helicopter mom, but she's very protective of her daughter. In addition to which, Bernadette is a little nutty. She kind of sees the world her own way and she kind of does her own thing and she definitely marches to her own tune. And that is one of the things I loved about this book is I think some people look at it and be like, yeah, and in doing so, she's a bad parent. But I feel like I looked at it and I was like, yeah, she's so interesting. I mean, I was raised by some interesting characters myself and I felt like it gave me very good character and developed me into a wonderful person, and they were anything but boring. And I kind of feel like Bernadette was the same way. She is anything but boring. But then they also tackle some real life issues in this, and I felt like, ooh, a bug. And I feel like they deal with those real life issues in more real ways. And I felt like they didn't shy away from things that are like, oh, they made this mistake, but you know what? It's not a big deal. It's all okay now. And I feel like they didn't do that. They said, okay, but this did happen, so now we're going to deal with it. And I really liked that. I liked it a lot. I totally enjoyed this book. If you're up for a laugh and a bit of a ride and a little craziness, you'll probably enjoy this book too. The next 2 books I read were I Hate Fairyland 3 and I Hate Fairyland 4. Not going to go into a lot of details because these are obviously the 3rd and 4th books in this series, and it's the last. There's just 4 in this graphic novel series called I Hate Fairyland by Scotty Young. I totally enjoyed them. I enjoyed the first 2. They made me laugh out loud and they were fun and like way overly violent, and there's language in them, but it's not language. Like she'll say, "What the fluff?" and oh, it's so funny. It's so funny. So I totally enjoyed this. This is actually a comic series that I would like to own at one point because I just love it. Like, it's hilarious. It's fun. It's clever. I liked the whole thing. I even liked the ending. I liked the whole thing. I thought it was great. And if there were more, I would read those too. The next book I read was Mortal Engines by Philip Reeve. And this actually I read because I saw the movie like in, when did I see it? Like December or so I saw this movie, and I liked the movie. Like, the movie was fine. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. It was fine. But I was intrigued enough to want to read the books. Now, I believe I gave this a 3.5 personally and a 3.5 technically. Now, I didn't love this, and I'm also trying to decide if this is middle grade or YA. It kind of felt like it was right between middle grade and YA, to be honest. Like, the characters were technically more of a YA age, but I felt like the writing was more middle grade, if that makes sense. I am counting this as my first middle grade March book. Basically, in this book, it's futuristic and towns are like on wheels, so like really large wheels, and they build up and they travel around and they eat other smaller towns, which means they kind of roll over them and suck them up, and then they use all their parts. The big town we're following is London, and there is a girl who basically wants to kill the guy who's in charge of London because he killed her mom, and so she's gonna get back at him and kill him. But if you like the movie, you might enjoy reading the book. It does fill in a few little plot holes that the movie had, so there's that. The next one I read was Vengeful by V.E. Schwab. I gave this like a 4.7 out of 5 stars and a 5-star technically. The writing was great. The only thing I was really docking this points for, to be honest, I wanted more Victor and Eli action, and I really didn't get that. Basically, we are kind of picking up where the last one left off. It's a few years later, but you know, she kind of bounces back and forth in time, just like the first book, so it fills in all your questions that you have. However, she introduces 2 new characters. They're both females, and of course they have their superpower as well. I'm not going to go too much into detail with this because I don't want to spoil things from the first book for people who haven't read it, which you're crazy, go read it. It was great. But they introduced 2 new girls, and I feel like we follow those 2 a lot more than we do the characters from the first book. And she does tie it all together by the end, obviously, but at the same time, I really wanted more of the first book, and what I felt like I got was more of a companion book with a little bit of the first book characters in it, if that makes sense. However, with that being said, it was still a really good book. It was well written. It was fun. It was clever. It was smart. It was very, very good. I just wanted more of those characters, but I really liked the new characters to the point where honestly I would read a 3rd book by her too in this world. I would. And I was super nervous going into this book because I haven't liked her sequels in the past. I've generally enjoyed V.E. Schwab's first books, and then the second and the third, and they just kind of go downhill for me, and I don't like them that much. I really liked this one. I like this series. Maybe this is just a better fit for me following more of the villainous side of superpowers, but I definitely enjoyed this book. If you like the first one, I think you will like the second one. Just be prepared. Not as much those characters. We focus more on these new ones. But if you look at it as a companion novel, I think you'd be satisfied. Let me know if you have read it, because I'd be interested in your thoughts on this. The next book I read was Number the Stars by Lois Lowry. This is a reread for me, and this is my 2nd book for middle grade March. This one is about a girl whose family is getting involved in the Danish underground during World War II, hiding Jews and getting them across to Sweden. It's a quick book, it's a quick read, and this is one that I loved like in 3rd and 4th grade. I think it was right after it came back. And I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, both technically and personally. I loved it. It was a great read. It's a great story. And it's frankly what probably got me started loving World War II fiction. The next book I finished up was Death Masks by Jim Butcher, which is the 5th book? The 5th book in the Dresden Files series. This one we're following a wizard named Harry, modern day wizard, and his adventures. I liked this one a lot. Like, I liked the fourth one. I forgot how much I liked the fifth one. We have new characters in this one. We have a new arc that starts in this one too. I kind of forgot about it until towards the end of the book. I'm like, oh yeah, that thing, it happens. And they bring it over the next like 3 books. I forgot about that. So I'm pretty excited to read the next one, which I've already started. And I am enjoying my reread of the Dresden Files. They're great. The next one I read was The Umbrella Academy graphic novel by Gerald Way, and I 100% picked this up because they have the new TV show on Netflix. I did start the TV show with my husband. I think we got like 15 minutes into the first episode, not that far, but far enough that I was intrigued, and he'd said he had read the graphic novel, and I was like, well, I want to read the graphic novel too. So I got it from the library, and I have the second one. I'm working on that one, and I'm trying to decide if I should start watching the TV series or if I need to read the second one to get more of the TV series, or if maybe it doesn't follow it that closely at all. I don't even know. But I did enjoy this. It is definitely dark. It is a dark graphic novel. It's definitely adult. I think what I enjoyed is, again, all these characters are kind of morally gray. None of them are great. And we meet them and we talk to them and they're all kind of meh. So I like that. I like that. I like morally gray characters. What can I say? I did like the art too. It wasn't my favorite art, but I really did like the story. I give it a 4.0 personally and a 3.5 technically. I feel like it has a lot of potential, and I did enjoy the premise as well. I still have lots of questions. I probably would have rated it higher if they would have answered a few of my questions. Questions like, okay, so what was it exactly that made all of these women have babies at the exact same time? And what happened to all of the other children? He only got 7 out of like, what, 53 or something? So where did those go? And just questions. So I'm hoping these will be answered. I have a feeling they won't be. I feel like these are things that are just never gonna get addressed. And I'm like, well, poo on that. But of course, it's not gonna actually stop me from continuing to read the series. And the 5th book I picked up was A Search for Wanda by Toni DiTerzelli. I totally enjoyed this book. This was really, really cute, and it's really white, so I'm gonna put it down, but it's really, really cute. I gave this a 3.5 personally and a 4.0 technically. I actually thought the technical writing was quite good. I gave it a 3.5 because I feel like there are a few plot holes and there are definitely quite a few unanswered questions as well. There are 2 more books in the series though, so I will most likely continue reading this. This is the 3rd book I read this month for middle grade March. Now I'm gonna talk to you guys about the books that I am currently reading and ones I am going to be reading. I currently am reading Mouse, and this is by Art Spiegelman. The name is covered up by a sticker, so I can't see. And I'm about halfway through this one. It's just a graphic novel that follows a man telling his father's story about growing up in Germany during World War II. And I believe he's Jewish, not Germany, Poland. Poland in World War II. I pay attention when I read. And his father is Jewish, so we know he's going to be ending up in a concentration camp, which is why I grabbed the second one too. So I am trying to read 3 graphic novels every month during this year, and I think I have my 3 for January and February done, but I haven't read 3 for March, so I need to read these 2 for March. Then I also went ahead and picked up Alita Last Order, Angel Reborn by Yokota Kishiro. Basically, I saw the movie and then I found out it was based on a manga, so I was like, well, I want to pick that up. And I think this is the first one to start with, but I gotta be honest, they're a little unclear. Like, it says volume 1, but then there was another one right next to it that said first. And I was like, well, which one do I read? So I'm gonna start with this one and just hope for the best, I suppose. But those are the 3 I'm planning to read, hopefully by the end of this month. I did go ahead and go right into Blood Rights, 6th book in the Dresden Files series by Jim Butcher. And I'm about halfway through this one. I might pick up the next one as well. I'm going to try not to, actually, even though I want to, because I want to finish the story arc because I really like it. But if I am going to get to this book, and it's huge, 11/22/63, I need to pick it up now. Like, I need to start this now and stop putting it off because it's huge and I need to get to this one. So I'm hoping to get this one started at least this week, at least started. So I might start it and maybe go back to Jim Butcher. I don't know. So in this one, we're following a guy who finds a way to travel back in time, and he wants to stop the assassination of JFK. That's all I really know about this one. I know he overshoots and he has to like live in like the 60s for a few years before it gets to this, but that's all I know. And it's a really big book. I know that too. And I have a few middle grades that I am probably not going to get all of these read by the end of the month. I'm hoping to get 2 more read so I can do the 5 that I said I was going to. But 2 of these I'm going to just read anyway in the next month or so. And 2 of them I'm hoping I can get read for middle grade March. One is Hey Kid, Wanna Buy a Bridge by John Skasiska. I don't think I said that right. It's a really small book, so I'm hoping I can get this one read in the next 10 days. And I don't remember exactly what it's about, but it sounded cute and it's middle grade and I'll probably pick it up. I also want to finish up with The Time Traveling Fashionista, which is about a girl who loves fashion. And I think she time travels back to the Titanic or something like that. So I am excited to get this one read as well. It's one I started, but I'm going to have to restart. And I'm not sure if it's middle grade or YA, but I think it's middle grade, just based on the writing style and stuff like that. I think it's middle grade. And the last two I have is the third, Percy Jackson and the Olympians, which most of us know what Percy Jackson's about, so I'm not going to talk about that, and it's the third one, so I'm definitely not going to talk about that. I'm going to read this one anyway, whether I get it read in March or not, because I want to continue on in that series, and I've read it technically, but I don't remember it, so I'm going to reread it. Yeah. And the last one I have is The Rhythmist by Brandon Sanderson. Again, I want to get this read by the end of the month, but I don't know if I'll get it read by the end of the month. If not, I'm still going to read it. So there's that. This is a Brandon Sanderson where the magic system is based around chalk drawings. And that's all I know, but I'm sure I'm gonna like it. And I think that is everything, you guys. So I know I don't have a huge to be read pile right now. I have a few graphic novels and a honking book and a couple of middle grades, but that's because it's a honking book and I need to focus on it. So I feel like I have a lot on my plate to read, on top of which I'm kind of busy and I don't know how much time I really have. So I'm trying to make the best of my time now. And I had time to film, so I'm gonna do that. I have time to edit, so I'm gonna do that. And then hopefully I'll have some time to read. I might prioritize the middle grade books a little bit since it's middle grade March. I don't know, we'll have to see. By all means, let me know if you have read any of the books I read or any of the ones I'm about to read, because I would love to know. And I would have to say, I'm gonna encourage you guys to read Where'd You Go, Bernadette? Of all the books I've talked about, it's probably my favorite one. Ooh, Vengeful was really good too. Read Where'd You Go, Bernadette, because it'll make you giggle. Vengeful will not make you giggle, but Bernadette will. So read that one and let me know what you think, because I'm interested in talking to people about it and nobody else has read it. So read it. And thank you for joining me today. I hope this isn't too long of a video. I'm gonna have to edit it down quite a bit. Now, I didn't go into a lot of detail with my middle grade ones. I'm gonna go into more detail in my middle grade March wrap up for those. But please leave a comment. I love chatting with you guys in the comments. Don't forget to like or subscribe or whatever it is you feel like doing today. I hope you guys have a fantastic, great day. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Goodbye. Wow, my hair is doing some big things today. All right, that's what it is.